Hello. Okay, so today we're going to do a tutorial to show you how to do a mail merge mailing list, like to print labels or to print on envelopes or anything like that, but we're specifically going to do envelopes for the men's breakfast at Faith Tabernacle. So what we've got to do first is find a database to get names from. And so the Faith Tabernacle one happens to be at drive.google.com, and you've got to log in and you have to have permission to see it. And so the Faith Tabernacle AOG at gmail.com is the default email address that has access to this. But you can see it right here, FT Church Directory. If I click on that, it opens up our church directory, the database. And so the point of this is to have one place where everybody has access to our database. So we don't download this on any computers most of the time, so that all the most up-to-date information is always available on this Google Drive. And so what we've got to do is get this on the computer so that we can use it, so that we can edit it. So we go to File and Download as Microsoft Excel.xlsx. And you can see down here it downloads just into the default download directory. In your browser you might get an open or save window, and you would click save in that case, but in any case it's on the computer and in the default download directory. And so what I'm going to do next is open up Microsoft Word, and this is going to just open up a blank document so that we can start a mail merge. We can start getting the database connected into our document. So I'm just going to go to this Mailings tab at the top, and then I'm going to click on Start Mail Merge. It's going to be tempting to click on labels here or envelopes depending on what you're doing, but the safest way is to go to Start Mail Merge and go to Step-by-Step Mail Merge Wizard. Again, it's going to be tempting to hit the thing that you're actually doing, but this step-by-step Mail Merge Wizard walks you through it in a pretty neat way. So as soon as you click that, you see over on the right hand side you've got a Mail Merge Wizard. At the top are your different options for the different steps, and at the bottom is where you can click Next or Previous. And so in this one we're going to choose labels. That's what we're going to do, is labels for the men's breakfast, and then we just hit Next. And here we are going to connect it to the document, or we're going to tell it what type of labels we're printing on, or if you had selected envelopes, you'd select what size of envelope you're going to be using. So we click this label options, and it should bring up a little window here with all of our different options that we have to choose from. You have continuous feed printers or page printers, and so probably you're going to be on page printers. And if you're using the default Faith Tabernacle copy machine, then you'll just choose the bypass tray, and you'll stick them in. You'll stick the labels in the bypass tray, and then under it you have label vendors. And I believe that we've been using the Avery, probably in the U.S. letter department here. So we choose Avery, and the ones we've been using are 5160 and the 5160 Easy Peel address. And if you have a question on that, you just look at the top of the box or the package that your labels came in, and there will be a number. There will be a brand and a number. So ours are Avery 5160, and it gives you a height and a width and the page size. So you just make sure all that lines up with the labels that you have. But if you have the number, then it should just line up. So then we hit OK, and then we just hit Next. And here we're in the actual mail merge portion of it, where we find our list, our database that we downloaded earlier. And so we click Browse here, and just brings up a browser window, and mine probably went into my downloads. And so let's see, I guess it's going to be in Documents and then Downloads for me. Nope. It's going to actually be over here in Downloads. Okay. and then I have a FT church directory. And you can see that I had downloaded it once before, so that's why I have a FT church directory and then a 1 in parentheses. So the highest number is going to be the most recent one that you've downloaded. And so you just select that, and then you hit open, and it's going to give you this. Just choose sheet 1. This is for Excel documents. You can have multiple sheets, but probably whatever you're doing, you'll just need sheet 1, and hit OK. And then it brings up this window, and this shows you the entire Excel document. And so for our purposes, we only want to select the men in the group. And so I'm going to scroll over here to the right, and I've got this M first and F first. The M first is the men in the church. And so I hit M first, and when I hit it like that, basically it just sorts it in descending order. You can see the ones at the top are the ones that only have females, and then starting with Pastor Mark here, then everybody below him is a man. And so I've got Pastor Mark highlighted here, and I wish there was a faster way to do this, but basically we just need to make sure everything under him has a check mark next to it and everything above him does not. So by default, everything does. You can hit this and it selects everything or nothing. So what I'm going to do is just deselect all the women above him. And so this takes a little bit of time to just deselect half of the list, but I haven't found a shortcut or a shorter way to do that. So I'm going to pretend that I've deselected all the women so that the only ones that are selected are ones that actually have men in their in the list. And so then once you have all the women deselected, you just hit OK, and you can see we've got this next record, next record, next record, and all of that's fine here. So we'll hit next and do arrange your labels. And so this is how you want to use your different portions of the database that we imported. So for our purposes, we want to do labels, so we know we want an address block. If you were going to do just a letter, then you would do greeting line, and that would give you something like Dear John and Becky or whoever. But this one we want an actual address. That's what we want to print on the labels. So I hit address block, and it brings up this window, and I can see over here on the right in the middle it gives us a preview of what they're going to look like. So you can see all that we have is the last name and only the street address, street portion of their address. So what I need to do is add some more things in there. So I hit this match fields button down here, and you can see right here on the left we've got first name, last name, suffix, all these things. So on the first name, I want to hit that and just go to the M first, and that'll give us the men's first names. Last name is already matched up, the address portion is already matched up, and then the city portion, we want to just choose the city, state, and zip. In our database, we just have those all together, so we don't have to match anything for the state and postal code. So I hit OK, and then as you can see, it looks pretty good over here. We've got first name, last name, the street address, and the city, state, and zip code. And then you can see here for Bill, we're missing his address, and so that can be a good reminder for us that we need to find his address. So it's just going to show up with a blank one on him. But then I just hit OK, and it shows up as an address block in the first field here, and then I go to the right here and it has this update all labels. I click that, and then you can see that it starts off with an address block, and then on the next label we're going to have a next record and an address block, and then next record and address block, and that's what we want it to look like. So we hit next at the bottom, and it gives us a preview of our labels, and you can see that it shows us the people's names, their address, and then it goes to the next one. And so these are looking pretty good. And we can kind of scroll through the recipients over here, but it's looking pretty good. And then the final step is complete the merge, and then we have the print option. And so I can hit print here, and it gives us the option to print all of these or only the current record. So like, if the last one I had looked at was just Bob Davis, and it would only print that, or I have the option of printing records 1 through 35 if I realized that you know, there's 35 labels on a sheet, and my first sheet got messed up, then on my first printing, then I could just do from 1 to 35, and it would give me just the first sheet. And so I would hit OK, and then it brings up the print dialog box, and so you just choose your printer. And so probably most of you are going to have the default, which is the Ricoh, and you might just hit properties in here and go to the paper tab and make sure that you have the right input tray selected. So you're probably going to use the bypass tray, which is the side tray on the side of the printer, and just make sure that you have the right paper size selected and all those things. Most of that should just be okay by default. So I hit OK, and then if I want to print it, I just hit OK here, and it would print out. And so that's how you do a mail merge.